So today is the day they have announced the Xbox restructurings that have been rumored for weeks and weeks. I mean, not even rumored. We've known about them. They were announced and then we've just been braced for them. But honest first reaction of all of the bad possible outcomes, this is probably one of the better ones. Like if we look at the spectrum of awful, okay? This is like the spectrum of awful. We've got good outcome, fine outcome, and then like bad outcome. This was always going to be somewhere over here, right? We knew it was going to be somewhere over here. It's going to be bad. There was no way that they're like, actually, we're expanding even more. They weren't going to do that. But out of all the possible bad outcomes, this is probably like right about here. They are giving pretty much all of the studios that are being divested. They're giving all of them an off-ramp. They're giving pretty much all of them funding and the ability to finish the projects they were doing. So State of Decay 3 is not being shuttered and canceled, which is one thing that was apparently on the board for possibility. Most of the studios are being partnered with future owners, and they're going to spin them off and give those owners creative control. And also, it seems like pretty much all of the studios, I think all of them, but there's possibility that maybe one of them this isn't true for, but I think all of them retain their IP, which is awesome. Like they didn't have to do that, but like Double Fine spinning off means Double Fine gets to keep Psychonauts, which is great. You remember that old video of like the Matt Booty sitting with Double Fine when they first acquired them, and they were like, well, all of your creative pitches and stuff will be owned by Xbox and by Microsoft. Like that was one of the things that was pitched back then, and they seemingly are letting them take their IP, which is really, really cool. But having said that, let's actually look at what's going on here, because even though it is the best of a bad situation, even though they're like right here on the awful spectrum, it's still in the bad category, okay? It's still bad. There's a lot of layoffs happening today, but out of all the possible ways they could have done this, it does seem to be like the best of the worst, if that makes sense. Wrong on Psychonauts? Okay, we'll circle on it. Thank you. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I don't want to be wrong. It's possible the post that I was reading in the article I was reading also was mistaken. So please, if you have updated info, please let me know. Okay, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. This is an important email I sent today to all employees at Xbox. We are beginning the most significant restructure in Xbox history. After careful consideration, I made the difficult decision to reduce our team by approximately 3,200 through fiscal year 2027. This will include approximately 1,600 role eliminations today, and in addition, 4 studios will leave Xbox to new management. I recognize that a year-long restructuring creates additional challenges. Unfortunately, it's not possible to make all the necessary changes in a single day, and I want to be direct about the scale, which I appreciate, instead of like being like, okay, we're totally done now, and then continuing on. Beyond this, okay, so 1,600 roles eliminated today. Another, basically the other half are going to happen over the course of the next 9 months or, well, 12 months, because it's through fiscal year 27, which is now until next June 30th. So they have pretty much a year to slowly get rid of the rest of the jobs. I know this is painful. These changes will directly affect people who have poured their creativity into building Xbox. Many joined us through acquisitions, and while others were recruited here or sought us out because they loved this industry and loved Xbox, today's decisions do not reflect their talent or dedication. But this is where she says the first crazy thing. Our business today is not healthy. I think most people saw that coming. We are operating at margins that are 3 to 10x lower than comparable platform and publishing businesses. We entered Gen 9 with a smaller install base and higher cost structure. To grow, we bet on Game Pass, multi-platform, and a broader portfolio of content. While those businesses have created meaningful value, they did not grow at the pace we expected. As that happened, our core business weakened, and we added more teams, more investment, and more time, hoping for a better outcome. And now the industry is facing the most severe hardware crisis in its history. We must reset Xbox. This is true. They did have less players, but then they also had way higher costs across the board. But it kind of echoes what Microsoft's general approach is with stuff, is to just throw money at it. Like just throw money at it. There's no notice period. So in some countries, regulations dictate that you have to give like a notice period of like a month or 2 weeks or whatever. Other places, they can put them on like notice that they are candidates for layoffs and for restructurings. That's one way that it can be done, especially in unionized jobs. Other companies and other places throughout the world can just lay people off. It's just like, nope. This, like, your team is being shut down today, and it's just full stop. There still are often severance packages and stuff offered, but still usually it's a pretty sudden thing, especially in the Western world. To grow, we bet on Game Pass, multi-platform, and a broad profile. Okay, just for that. First, we will reset our content portfolio. Since 2018, we have aggressively expanded our studio portfolio, while the number of games created each month across the industry now outpaces the last 10 years combined. We now find ourselves competing not only with the largest publishers, but also with smaller independent studios. It is neither possible nor desirable to own every great independent studio. We have also learned that we are not the best home for every type of studio. In a typical year, we lost 64 cents for every dollar we invested. That's some Wall Street bets level performance, bro. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine going to like a financial advisor and they're like, yes, you should invest with us. Really, sir? Why? What's your stats? Well, you give us $1. Immediately 64 cents of that gone. Like it literally is the South Park and it's gone meme. Like that's literally how they've been operating the business.
We can put that check in a money market mutual fund. Then we'll reinvest the earnings into foreign currency accounts with compounding interest and it's gone.
Like that's how Microsoft has been running Xbox. Okay. Like that's literally how they've been offering and it's gone. Like that's how it's been working. It's crazy, but like that's not actually that much of an exaggeration. As we reset Xbox, we will help independent creators succeed by providing open development tools and audiences realize their vision. I don't really know what this means. It just seems like maybe they want more indies to be able to publish there. So maybe they're going to like open up a team that specifically targets, like, think of Mecha Chameleon, like finding a way to get that game on Xbox as it launches on Steam, you know, find a way to get those indie games available on Xbox immediately. Because like imagine if those types of games that go mega viral, those people call them friend slop games and stuff. Imagine if those games could also be playable on Xbox. Like that's a little competitive advantage that they could really double down on. So I think that's a good idea, especially because a lot of the biggest, most viral games nowadays are not coming from teams of 300, 500, 600 people. They're coming from like one or two devs that had a wacky idea and it went viral. You know, those are the games that tend to pop off. So you got to find a way to harbor them. Compulsion Games and Double Fine Productions will return to management and transition to independent studios with their IP. So this, as you can see, Compulsion Games and Double Fine Productions will transition to independent studios with their IP. So somebody in chat was saying that I was wrong about them having their IP with them. Let me know if there's some update to this, but this sounds like they keep their IP. They keep Psychonauts. They keep, in the case of Compulsion, like Midnight, South of Midnight. That sounds like it to me. Their IPs are not very valuable. Well, I mean, that's probably why Microsoft, like, I don't think Microsoft would be willing to give them Call of Duty, you know, but like if they want to keep, like, I don't think they were going to greenlight a sequel to South of Midnight. I don't think they were going to greenlight a sequel to Kiln, you know, maybe to Psychonauts, but I also, Jacob probably knows, I don't know if Psychonauts 2, how that performed. I don't remember. But either way, that's a good move. I think that is like objectively a good thing. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs have entered terms to join new ownership with funding to complete and grow Senua and State of Decay 3. This one is also kind of not clear. So Ninja Theory and Undead Labs, they will be bought out by either one new entity or by two separate entities. It's not clear. And they're being provided funding to complete and grow their games, which sounds like Microsoft is also going to pay that check. So or Microsoft and Xbox, they're going to pay for the funding or do like a publishing deal for Senua and State of Decay 3. That's interesting. But paired with this is also the revelation from Steven Totilo that Undead Labs' new owner will not be required to release State of Decay 3 on Game Pass, which was previously like a must do. Like, of course, Typically, if you announce it for Game Pass, it's going to launch on Game Pass. Apparently, that will no longer be the case. But this also, again, this is a really good one. I was going to crash out catastrophically if they revealed that State of Decay 3 was just canceled and they were just going to can it. But no, they're actually giving them an off-ramp, letting somebody buy them, and they are apparently also going to provide funding to finish the game, which is like all, I think, good. I think that that's all good. In France, Arcane's management is beginning to, I can't read. In France, Arcane Lyon, Dishonored, of course, they're working on Blade. They're beginning required consultation with its Works Council to review potential strategic options. This is another way of describing, I think, the legal loopholes you have to jump through in France to do like layoffs and shutter a studio and stuff. They have a lot more government red tape to sift through. So they're not out of the woods yet. Apparently, other reporting is suggesting that they are being considered either for like full shutdown or they're being considered for selling off or something. But Microsoft doesn't want Arcane anymore. Xbox doesn't want it. They apparently are not pleased with how it's been managed. It's apparently over budget and it's been internally delayed significantly. So they are done with it and they're trying to find an off-ramp for that as well. We are also making reductions across other units. This is where we get into some of the insane stuff, okay? This next like little bit right here, okay? We are also making reductions across other units, and in some cases, shifting investments to focus on higher priority projects. These changes vary in size across Activision, Bethesda, ZeniMax, Blizzard, King, Mojang, and Xbox Studios. None of our first-party publicly announced games or projects are being canceled as part of these reductions, okay? So no game cancellations, nothing's being shut down. They are continue working on all those. In addition, Mojang and King will now directly report to Asha. These two studios have increasingly become platforms and are our largest by monthly active players. They bring critical geographic, demographic, and differentiation to Xbox. So mobile games like Candy Crush and Mojang, which of course is Minecraft. So they see those as two big competitive edges that they have. I feel like Xbox already kind of doubles down on Minecraft a lot, but they apparently are going to try to double down even more on mobile games too, which makes sense. I mean, it prints money for them. Second, this is insane. This is where we get to the insanity, okay? And I have a visual representation of this. Second, we will reset our platform. We know that great technology gets better when it gets simpler, not bigger. Today, in some parts of the company, work passes through as many as 14 layers of management. 14 layers of management for decisions to be made. Allow me to demonstrate this, okay? This will take a moment, but I think that's the point, okay? You want to do something, okay? We want to, hey, Asha, I want to make Fallout New Vegas remastered. Okay. Ask Ted. Represented with PlayStation Physical Media, because these are basically just going to, these are antiques at this point. Okay. Ask Ted. Hey, that's a great idea. I'll ask Fred. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. Let me ask Rebecca. Oh, New Vegas remastered? That sounds super cool. Yeah, we should do that. Let me go ask Tim. Oh, I think that's a great idea. I would love Fallout New Vegas remastered. I think that's fantastic. Let me go ask John. I love this idea. We should absolutely do that. But I gotta get a signature from Theodore. Love what you're doing. I think that's a great idea. Okay. I love it. I'm an ally. Let's go talk to Leon and get his signature. Love it. We should absolutely do that. I would love to do New Vegas remastered. Okay. One, just real quick, I gotta go ask Philippa. No one listens to me. I was a flop, but it's okay. Let's go ask Ted. New Vegas remastered. Love that idea. Let me ask. I'm running out of names. Jerry. No, we're not done yet. Oh, I love this. Let me go ask Rodrigo. Fantastic idea. I would love Fallout New Vegas remastered. Fantastic idea. Let me go also email Matt. Fallout New Vegas Remastered. That's insane. I love it. I love it. I love it. We should do that. Let me go email Todd and make sure he's good to go with it. Okay.
I don't really know about that, but I guess we could do it. Let me, we could totally do that. I think that could be a good idea, especially if I can put my name on it. Let me go email Asha real quick and I'll see if we can do this. That sounds like a good idea. Thanks.
Hello, it's Asha. The year is 2032. What do you want to do? That's 14 layers of management. 14 layers of management. Yeah, and then Todd says no. Yeah, after all that, no. That's insane. That's ridiculous. Hopefully you get the point. That's ridiculous. 14 layers of management to do anything at certain points in the company. To be clear, work passes in some parts of the company. Work passes through 14 layers of management. Do you start to understand why stuff can take so long within these companies? For us, we just did it as like, hey, we should do Fallout New Vegas Remastered. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let me check with this person. And they're sending an email each and every single time that's happening. Maybe it takes a day to get to them. Maybe they have to schedule a call. But most of the time, this also means like you need to make a PowerPoint presentation. You need to go and you have to go and schedule a time next week to hop on a Zoom call. Sorry, a Microsoft Teams call. Didn't mean to be offensive. And talk with them and pitch the idea. And then they think about it. They have a team meeting, a roundup later in the week. They'll think about it. Next week, we'll get back to you. And then to get their approval, you have to go and do the same thing, schedule a PowerPoint with this manager above them. And you start to understand why it can take years to do basically nothing. So Asha immediately identifies 14 layers of management is ridiculous, which it is. Okay. So that's why they're sleeping on big IPs. Well, yeah. And this is why I think you see stuff like Fallout New Vegas, which everybody is like, that seems like such a no-brainer. Why are we not doing this? But it's because at certain points of the company, there's 14 layers of management. Others, probably 10. Others, maybe 5. But the fact that anywhere there is 14 layers, that's insane. That's ridiculous. Absolutely mind-boggling.
At Own Night donated £20 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
And then it's worth bearing in mind that on top of that, Microsoft's certification can be a nightmare, and because Microsoft uses contractors, that disrupts development too.
Yep.
And they also have to get approval from Satya.
They have to get budgetary approval. They have to get everything approved from the finance teams, which is also part of these layers of management. I'm sure it's like, we want to do this. We have to get a financial report on it and all that. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's when you add in like contractors that work elsewhere in the world, probably language barriers, time zone differences, you start to understand why stuff takes so freaking long to do anything. It's absolutely outrageous. But again, I mean, it goes on. Our platform teams are 40% larger than they were at the start of this generation, even as our player base and playtime have declined. So Phil expanded the platform team by 40% while it was actively dying. What? Like, literally, while the platform itself is losing market share, Phil was hiring more people. And as this line goes up, spending goes up. And this gap that you see here is the money they're losing. Like, it's shocking. It's shocking. And 40% is not a small number. I mean, like, if they had 100 people, they added 40 more. Like, that's crazy. While the company is imploding. Xbox at the start of the Xbox Series generation, back in 2020, was like pretty aggressive and they were doing a lot of stuff. Phil added 40% more people as they were going all the way up through like the this is an Xbox era. What were they doing? This is inevitably what starts to happen with a lot of companies as they grow too big and grow really inefficient, is that you just start to fill it with middle managers. So middle managers just tend to clog up a ton of stuff and create all sorts of problems. And there's a lot of people that run very big and very financially successful companies that hate middle managers and can't stand them. Insert joke about Elon Musk here, but like one of the examples of this that they talk a lot in like business circles and business media and books and stuff is when Elon came in and he overhauled teams at multiple periods, but he's overhauled teams at like SpaceX, Tesla, even when they bought Twitter. And one of the things that Elon's management team does is that they come in and they will go to like a team, like literally this. They have the team of 14 middle managers, okay? They ask each of these middle managers to write a report on who they work with that's most competent. And they tell them, we have to do layoffs. So we need you to tell us which engineers, for example, you want to keep. Who gets the most done? Because those we can keep, and then we'll lay off the rest of the teams. So each of these managers goes and writes a report on which engineers and the people beneath them that they like the most. And then Elon comes in and fires all of these people and puts those people that they said to save their jobs, they promote them. Because the middle managers almost never do anything. They just pass off the work of other people and filter it back up, right? You just fire the middle managers. And usually you can't tell that much of a difference. So getting rid of middle managers, I think, is the great cheat code with a lot of this, because they just tend to clog things up inevitably. Like it just slows stuff down. So hearing that they're going to do that, I think makes sense. There's another phenomenon where companies will go and basically fill whatever empty space is available to them. So if they have the ability to lay off, multiple teams, they might do that, but they might also not. They just expand to fill the space that they have available to them. So if you give them enough runway, they'll just take it all up. It's kind of like when you move into a big house or a big apartment, and then you inevitably fill up all of the space in that apartment, even though you didn't have that stuff to fill out the space. Eventually you just spread out to fill it up. It's the same kind of thing. When you run a business or you're a manager within the business and you have the ability to expand 40%, you will. And that comes with no direct oversight or clear guidelines from management. Like at no point should this have ever been allowed to happen. 14 layers of management is insane. They continue. So they expanded 40% larger than they were at the start of this generation, even as our player base and playtime have declined. That complexity has slowed decisions, blurred accountability, which is also refreshing to hear, and made it harder to deliver for players. As we reset Xbox, we will simplify. Accountability is another word to basically just try to describe when somebody does a good job, we know they are good at their job and we can promote them, make them in charge of bigger stuff. But when somebody does a stupid, we can fire them. When you have 14 layers of management, it starts to get really, really difficult to pin down who was responsible for the bad decision. Who's to blame, Who let this game get greenlit? Who let Redfall happen? Who let this happen? Who let that happen? How do you figure out who is responsible and who should have been, the guard at the gate that turned them away? When there's 14 people that it passed through, you get to just kind of point fingers in every which direction, because everybody was wrong. You can't fire everybody. I mean, you can, but... you start to hide behind those layers of management. And so by simplifying it down, you can actually get a clearer idea of who's making what decisions. We will reduce management layers to no more than 5 at I imagine this is for like the biggest stuff. So like if you're going to greenlight $200 million in spending, if you're going to greenlight Fallout New Vegas, you probably need the studio CEO who's going to be in charge of the game and the studio to be involved. You need like Matt Booty, Asha, Todd's probably involved. Like right there, you're already starting to get to that like 4 to 5 person range for decision makers. And she says she wants no more than 5 layers of management before you actually get there. And these are layers. So, I mean, some of these people are going to be on the same layer and it's just, but you get what I mean. Different decision makers within each layer. But that is a lot better than 14. And that's probably for only the biggest decisions that need a lot of clear decision making all the way up to the top. And where possible, they want 3. So for any given decision, they want on average 3 layers of decision making to determine what happens. Is this Bethesda? This is all of Xbox. What she's describing is all of Xbox. At certain points and certain parts of the company, they had as many as 14 layers of management. That's true for all of the teams that are underneath them, which is crazy. 5 is still crazy. BGS in its glory barely had 2. Well, so to be clear, what she's describing is Xbox as a company, okay? So when she's describing 5, she's also meaning like what she's describing is not just the studio decision making. What she's describing is like if you have BGS down here, okay, BGS. Above that, you have like Bethesda Softworks. Okay. Above that, you have ZeniMax. Above that, you have maybe Booty. And then you have Asha. Okay. So this would be 5 layers of management where somebody at the studio like Todd wants to do something. Todd wants greenlighting to do another Skyrim remake. Okay. He goes to his Bethesda Softworks guy. They go and they email the head of ZeniMax. ZeniMax goes and emails Matt Booty. Matt Booty brings it to Asha. She approves it. You're good to go. But that can happen much faster than another 14 steps along the way, you know? And again, I would expect that 5 is only for like the biggest decisions. What's not clear is whether this mentality is also going to be forced down to the little studios, because I would bet you, I think you're right. I think there's a lot more than 2 to 3 steps or layers of management within Bethesda. As we've outlined previously, their problems seem to be very systemic where like, you know, you have somebody like a quest is being made. You have the writers that have to send something for approval from the coding team. The coding team has to send something to get approved from the animation team. Animation team has to go to the combat team. Combat team has to go to the art team again. The art team has to then go to the environments team and to get the environments built out. They finish that. Then they go back to the coding team. Like they just have a lot of inefficiencies in how they actually seem to do stuff according to their own former developers. That's not me saying that. That's according to people who worked there, that there's a lot of bloat. But that's separate from what we're discussing here, which is like the corporate structuring. Anyway, we will deliver success through a flatter organization that is built around makers, individual contributors focused on building, player coaches, leading or leaders who remain deeply involved in the work while developing their teams, and directly responsible individuals. I can't read. And directly responsible individuals, DRIs, who own key decisions and outcomes. Out of these, I would imagine like makers might be individual like team leads and stuff like that. Player coaches, leaders who remain deeply involved in the work while developing their teams. So like team leads, senior leadership, that type of thing. And then these DRIs, directly responsible individuals, these are the ones that if something goes bad, they're fired. But if it goes well, they get to claim credit, right? So these would be like the high level executive producers who are directly working on stuff, but they are having a flashlight shown on them to be like, okay, if you do good, you're going to get the bag, you're going to get the accolades, you'll get promoted. But if you greenlight a Redfall and let that happen, we're going to march you through the street. Shame, shame, shame. That's basically what they're describing. We will streamline how we work across our tools with cleaner code base, shared services, and 50% reduced vendor spend. Vendor can mean a lot here. It could mean contractors. It could mean marketing deals for games. So the goodie bags sent to influencers might be reduced. Oh God, it's not like they were sending me anyways. But like probably tighter budgets on marketing, tighter budgets on like big events and venues spend, like things like that. But also vendor spend. This could also directly tie into hardware. So it might also mean that they spend less money on like subsidizing hardware, less money on developing handhelds, like stuff like that. So that's also possible. Third, we're resetting how we operate. As Xbox grew our headcount, we became more fragmented. Teams, studios, and functions often operate independently, and it became harder to work towards a shared goal, make the right trade-offs, and get things done. Which is interesting because this was actually one of the key like managerial choices Phil made, which at first glance sounds really good, right? Like his idea was that we can go and buy studios. We'll let the studios do whatever they want in their own pursuit of success, and we'll leave them be. And that's what directly led to Redfall. Like there was reporting after the fact where people at Redfall Studio, at Arcane Austin, they wanted Phil and those guys, after they were acquired and after Phil came in, they wanted them to come in and cancel Redfall so that they could get working on like Prey 2. But Phil didn't do that because Phil wanted to be hands off. So he let them do whatever they were working on before, and he didn't touch it. And so this fragmentation was part of the design, is that he didn't want to be involved. He didn't want to dictate, you have to do this. He didn't want to force this team that does great story stuff to be forced to make Horizon Hunters Gathering. You know, he didn't want to do that kind of thing. He wanted to leave them be however they were. But I think it kind of went sour. Frankly, like it kind of went sour, because that works if the team is working on good stuff, but a lot of the teams weren't. So they seem to get involved more later in the generation. But certainly this was one of the ideas that was well intentioned, I think, but ended up being a little short-sighted. Vendor also has to do with third-party tools. Vendors to me is third-party tools. What if this is just a clever way of saying you need to use Copilot? No more Claude. Just like, no more Claude. You have to use that. Dude, I was talking to somebody who works at a big tech company, and dude, I found out, he casually mentioned, I was like, how often are these guys using AI tools? Like, are they actually using those? He's like, bro, you have no idea. He's like, I know of one engineer that spent just under $100,000, just under, it was 90 something thousand dollars in a single month on Claude tokens. It's like a software engineer or whatever. He spent just under $100,000 on the company card using Claude in a single month. Where's all the money for the AI bubble coming from? That. Not even joking. Hand to God. Like, what? What? But apparently it's because he's just taking like their entire code base or whatever he's working on. Every time he puts a prompt into Claude, he puts the entire code base in. And so every time it does anything, it's reading through all that, generating all these tokens or spending all these tokens to do it. And so he's just running up the company card. Like, it's crazy, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's just like, no more Claude. You have to use Copilot. Anyway, for the first time, we are establishing a chief operating officer with end-to-end P&L responsibility across content, hardware, platform, and services. Helen Chang has been promoted to this role and will report directly to me. Over nearly 2 decades at Xbox, Helen has helped build some of our most important businesses, from Xbox Live to leading Mojang and the Minecraft franchise. She will bring our businesses together under one operating model, making sure we make clear investment decisions, learn from our successes and failures, and hold ourselves accountable for results. Did they not have a chief operations person before this? Were they seriously operating a services like subscription based model for their business, and they didn't have an operating officer, like a chief operating officer, a COO? That's wild. That's crazy. So they just didn't have somebody in charge of overall operations. Oh, they laid them off. I see. Oh, makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That tracks. It was Copilot. Oh. all of our financials just have a lot of made up numbers in them. We don't know why. Yeah. So now 15th layer. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Phil wanted to do 15 layers of management. He wanted to COO, but that was too much. Yeah. Keep it at 14. Be responsible. It's got to stay at 15. Well, this is good to have somebody again with a lot of experience in this that also is going to be in charge end-to-end profit and loss responsibility across content, hardware, platform, services. She will be in charge of overseeing all of it to make sure all of it is performant and keeping in line financially. I'm shocked that was ever not a thing, but okay. Thank you, Dave McCarthy, who is retiring after 17 years with Xbox. Dave has played a defining role in building the platform that millions of players rely on every day, and has been a trusted partner through many of the biggest moments in Xbox's history. We wish him the best. This was Dave McCarthy. Xbox. He's labeled, this is confusing. He's labeled as the COO at Xbox. So I guess I don't understand. He's labeled as COO at Xbox, but he's retiring. And she said that for the first time we're establishing a chief. Okay, so here's what I think. I think we're deciphering it. They had a COO who was Dave. Dave retired, whether he was welcome to retire or not, but he retired. But the new position is going to be overhauled specifically to make sure the COO has end-to-end P&L responsibility. This, as she's overhauling this right as he's retiring, this makes me think that maybe she said, I think it's time for you to retire. I think we're going to put somebody new in position. That's what it sounds like to me. 17 years with Xbox is a good run as well, but it sounds like they needed somebody new in that position. Because again, he's the COO and then the company got to 3% margins. That seems like, yeah, GTFO. Yeah, a little bit. These changes are about a bigger future for Xbox, not a smaller one. The next decade of gaming will be larger, more global, and more creative than anything we've seen before. This year, this is interesting. This year, we'll invest as much in Xbox as we ever have, but we'll invest with greater focus, greater discipline, and greater clarity, all in service of making Xbox where the world plays and creates. I want Xbox to be one of the few companies that entertains more than 1 billion people each day and gives everyone the opportunity to create and connect. I know we can achieve this goal. Xbox has many of the most beloved franchises in entertainment history, talented studios around the world, and we will return to growth in 2027. History is full of companies that mistake longevity for inevitability. We will not be one of them, Asha, which is true. Pride comes before the fall, as they say. Now, here's the overall breakdown of where we're at with everything. So it's clear Xbox needs major change. I think everybody would agree with that. I think even the most hardcore Xbox fans would agree they need a lot of change. Okay, they would need to shake things up a lot. That's not really a controversial take, I don't think, but they need to change a lot. Asha's coming in and is doing that. The choices she's making are specifically to overhaul the business and try specifically to refocus on their key pillar IP and franchises. So that means doubling down on Call of Duty, on Minecraft, on the mobile games with like King, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, stuff like that. The stuff that makes money, focus on that. Stuff that isn't making money, don't focus on, which is why they're offloading a lot of these studios. Beyond that, hardware is like the omnipresent elephant in the room because there doesn't really seem to be an easy way of dealing with that. There doesn't seem to be an easy solution for anybody, for PlayStation or Microsoft with Xbox. Everything sucks, okay? Because like even if they wait till 2028 to launch the next gen of hardware, it's not clear whether prices will be lower by that point either. It just seems like no matter what you do, unless you wait 5 years, everything's just going to be stupid expensive. So what does the gaming world look like if gaming hardware is outrageously expensive? I personally think it's going to be doubling down on cloud gaming and stuff like that, on used hardware, on refurbished hardware, on financing your hardware, stuff like that. I think that's where they're going to put a lot of the focus, but they're actively figuring that out. I don't know where they'll settle with that. But beyond that, it seems like she's also trying to double down on operational efficiency improvements, which is good. 14 layers of management, as I said earlier, is just ridiculous. I mean, it's just outrageous to go through this many people to make any decision within a company, even if it's a big international company. The idea that you have to go through that much or that many headaches to get anything done is outrageous. And it starts to make sense why you can have such disconnected decision making, so many delays between decisions, and it just is bizarre. Because again, if one of these guys lower in the ranks raised a very good point, was like, hey, this is going to go over super poorly if you announce it this way. This is an Xbox campaign is stupid. Gamers will hate it. They could say that. But by the time it goes up the next 12 layers of management, all of that nuance has been lost. And then you end up with managers making really out of touch decisions because they're like, oh, well, we got approval from everybody in the chain, so we're good, And then that's why it happens where we heard the stories where apparently Xbox management was like kind of befuddled by fans disliking some of their decisions. It's like, it's not that surprising to anybody down here among normal people, but like that just is how it happens, when people are out of touch, they're out of touch. With all this, there is kind of the danger, I think, which is to mistake change for good change, or to just assume that because Asha is shaking stuff up, therefore it's it's the right decisions. Asha's version of Xbox probably won't be fully realized and seen for another 1.5 to 2 years. Right now, it seems like, she's taken over the ship. She's cutting all the ropes that have tangled it up in its rudder, and now she's going to try to push off to sea, but it's not clear yet whether as a captain she's actually competent sailing the ship or she'll take it in the right direction at all. But based on what we're seeing right now, she is identifying clearly insane things that previous management didn't seem to care about or know how to fix. People saying bring Phil back. I think the truth of the matter is that if Phil had tried to run Xbox for another year, I think Satya would have just shut it down completely, honestly. Like, I don't think Satya is that worried about shuttering businesses he spent billions on. He's done it before, whether you look at Mixer, whether you look at the Windows Phone, other stuff. Like Microsoft as a company, not even just Satya, but Microsoft as a company is not afraid of shutting stuff down if it's not making money. And Xbox has not been making money. It's been hemorrhaging money. She's describing how it's losing 64 cents for every dollar they invest. That's bad. That is bad. Okay. So I think if Phil were to stay in position, it would have gotten worse. And then Satya probably would have just shuttered it and gutted it. I think Satya, amazingly enough, after all that time, he should have recognized it sooner, but Satya finally decided enough was enough and put Asha in charge. And pretty much where we are is we're left with a choice to believe Satya and Asha when they say what their mandate is, or to reject it and assume they're lying. Because what Satya Nadella has said and what Asha Sharma has said is that they are the mandate, the requirement is to save Xbox and to rebuild it into one of the biggest entertainment companies and brands in the world. That's what Satya wants Asha to do. Some people still think that she's being brought in to shut it down. Some people still think that she's being brought in just to slowly kill it and then, save face and try to avoid a PR nightmare or whatever. I think so far her actions would dictate or suggest rather that I think she's trying. I think if they were going to just shut it down, they would just shut it down. I don't know why you spend a year or two continuing to burn money and make a bunch of difficult decisions if you're just going to shut it down anyways. I think they are trying to save it. Whether or not they can remains to be seen. But I do think that they are at least making changes that are good. 14 layers of management, insane. Crazy expenses, insane. They're greenlighting games that I don't think ever really made sense. I love Double Fine. It never really made sense to spend millions, even if it's only like 5 million or 10 million. I don't know what Kiln's budget was, but I don't think that was a game that made sense to have one of your first party studios working on. I just don't see it. Same with South of Midnight, I think could make sense. And there were people that really liked it, but other like weird attempts at live service spin-off stuff, weird attempts at really niche games or other stuff that just don't connect. Like Hellblade 2, the fact that Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 was greenlit and allowed to go out at like 4 hours of content. I just don't understand what on earth they were thinking there. But yeah, I think overall they are making changes and those changes are in the right direction. Is it enough? That remains to be seen. But I do think that at the very least, they are identifying problems and they're stepping in the right direction. Because pretty clearly Xbox was headed in the total wrong direction for years and somehow was left unchallenged and unfixed and unaddressed. As for some of the other stuff that's happening, so as she outlined, 1,600 roles will be eliminated today. It's not super clear where exactly those are, but 1,600 roles. A lot of these, I think, are probably in those middle manager positions. So a lot of those roles are going to be the people in the middle of this stack that weren't really needed, and you can flatten the operations down. She identifies immediately after bringing that up that the middle manager problem was severe, and so I think that that's where a lot of these numbers are going to be. No doubt there still will be teams and developers that lose their jobs, but I think a lot of the people in the middle manager positions are the ones most in danger. And if they aren't today, they will be in the next 50% that get laid off over the next year or so. It looks like everybody's going to be hit, so all studios are going to be hit, but I think part of that is going to be layoffs and restructurings aiming to increase agility and get stuff done faster. As we've said, like we've identified issues at other studios where we're baffled that they are working on stuff. Like BGS is the classic example where they release an update, it breaks Fallout 4 and everybody's like, what the hell are you doing? And it takes what was it, 19 months to fix it and to undo the patch. It took 19 months for them to unbreak VATS in Fallout 4, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable that it took 19 months. It's crazy, absolutely outrageous. But it starts to make sense when you're like, oh, well, to do it, they have to get approval for the budget to get the team to be assigned to fix that. Otherwise, they have to just keep working on Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield stuff. So we have to send this email, and it's got to go up to there, and it's got up to there, and it's got to go all the way back up. And then it gets approved, goes back down here. Okay, yeah, we'll start working on it. We'll put it on the schedule. It starts to make sense why it takes 19 months to do any damn thing. But hopefully with the restructurings, they can increase efficiency. But as always, I mean, as she outlines here, a year-long restructuring creates additional challenges. It's not possible, though, to make all the necessary changes in a single day, which is true. I mean, this takes time. But I think that these changes, at the very least, should get Xbox performing closer to the way that they should have been operating this whole time. You know? Compulsion Games just released their statement. Yeah, they did it like right before stream. So as you can see, when Compulsion Games was founded in 2009 as an independent studio, we were just a few dreamers in a leaky old gramophone factory devoted to creating rich storylines and experiences that felt handcrafted. We care about the craft of making games, the stories we tell, the players who experience them, and assembled creators who put their heart and soul into doing something different. Today, we're sharing that Compulsion Games will return to an independent management following our time as part of Xbox. As part of this transition, we will retain the rights to Contrast, We Happy Few, and our award-winning South of Midnight. We're grateful for the years we spent with Xbox, for the support they provided our team, and for the opportunity to bring these games to players around the world. As an independent studio, we are excited to continue building the distinctive games that define Compulsion while taking the next steps in our journey. Our immediate priority is to support the team throughout this transition period. We're confident in the future of Compulsion Games. Look forward to the next chapter where one thing will remain constant. We will create unique games that tell important stories, and all the goal of touching the hearts and minds of our players. Which, again, to give them an off-ramp and give them the ability to not just immediately be shuttered, I'm kind of surprised by it. I was ready for them to just announce that they were shutting everything down, but they're not, which color me surprised. I was expecting just full rip the cord. That's what I thought it was going to be, but there you go. He took my thing.